we can actually start the video from.
Well, it's good to see you guys again. League 6, huh?
League 6. The gang's all together. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the first time we've actually all got together as a trio, right? To speak?
Yes. Yeah.
Exciting stuff. What are we doing today? Someone introduce everyone to what we are doing.
Double Shine, you wanna talk about the concept?
Yeah, so basically, fill in the gap between, before we're waiting for League 6, we kind of wanted to give our thoughts on all the regions as, Leagues is all about picking your regions. I think that's kind of been like a core philosophy of it. And we just kind of wanted to share our thoughts and sort of give like our pre-reveal with like no knowledge of any of the changes coming to this league. Just kind of share our experience. Obviously, we're going to do a ranking because, that's just the most fun way to do it. And we'll kind of work our way from the bottom to the top and, I guess talk about, and rank them all and see, which one is the best.
Sounds like a plan. Do we want to start talking about Varlamore, Karamja, Mistalin? Because those are the ones, there's kind of some weird stuff happening around them.
Yeah, a little bit of context is good, isn't it? I mean, we all had to do a bit of homework, right? It was like, go away and rank every region. Like, go put your own tier list together. And there I was.
Yes.
I was carefully considering where Karamja, Mistalin, and Varlamore would be, and then you guys turn around and say, "Hey, we're not doing that this time." But there is a good reason for that. So for anyone who's new to leagues, usually we would be starting in the Mistalin region in good old Lumbridge, but this time around, there is no Mistalin. We will not have Mistalin as a selectable region. We will not be starting there. We're starting in Varlamore, so that's the reason we've decided not to include Varlamore in these rankings, which is just probably a good thing because, I mean, come on, we've probably all ranked that the highest, right?
I know I did.
So,
Yeah, I had it originally. I had it as like the 0, basically, where it was like the top, and I was like, this doesn't even count, like, because it feels kind of unfair to rank like a starting region against, the others, and obviously, like, I mean, how are we going to talk about Mistalin when it's not even in the pool right now, right?
Yeah. Well, but especially, so Varlamore, I always thought it was really strong last year. And we didn't have the fletching minigame. We didn't have Doom on there either. But like, it already had so much going for it. And I don't remember exactly where I placed it last year, but it was still like second, third, like it was towards the top. And then we got all of this other stuff with it. I mean, holy cow. It's not even fair as a starting region. I mean, it would blow Mistalin out of the water, I think.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I was doing something for a solo project, a video I'm working on, where I was just looking at the size, just the base kind of surface landmass. Varlamore is triple the size on the surface compared to Mistalin. So, I mean, if that puts it into perspective of how good we've got it, and it's not landmass like the desert where there's a lot of nothing. There's a lot in Varlamore. So, yeah,
Kandarin,
it's a very strong region. Or Kandarin. I mean,
Kandarin is big. It's big. There's not much there. I'm just saying.
It's too soon to piss off all the Kandarin lovers. Okay, we'll get into that. But just well, true. We'll get into that because I'm sure it's one of the first regions we'll talk about. But we also won't be talking about Karamja today because it's another freebie region, and well, I think we'd all probably rank it pretty low as well. So 3 regions off the table. That leaves us how many left to talk about?
I think we got to 8. We had a little bit of discussion around that, but I think we ended up counting 8.
None of us could do basic maths. Well, I couldn't. So yeah, that's where we are today. And I suppose you guys came up with a really good format of how we're going to do this. So we're going to go through region by region and see who's ranked it where from kind of the lowest number to like number 1. And then we'll just see where we go from there. Talk about why we like the region, why we don't like the region, why we've ranked it where we have, and see if maybe collectively we can settle on a tier list we're all happy with. Does that sound good?
Yep. And I think the format will make sense once we get started. So, I think as soon as we get into it, it'll make a lot of sense. Okay. So you guys want to get right into it? Everybody good to go?
Yeah. We're jumping in at our lowest one, right?
Yeah. So I'll start at my lowest, then I'll have Yew Jack and then Scritic. And the important thing is that if you have my region higher on your list, then just say that, basically. Does that make sense?
I'll make a face, okay? We'll be like, what?
So I'm starting off with my 9th, or I guess my 8th right? Eight regions. Okay. My eighth
Yeah.
region, my lowest region is Kandarin. Yew Jack?
Really? Hold on. Okay.
Wait, do you have a higher? Do you have a higher?
No, no, no. I'm just surprised. Weren't you defending Kandarin last year?
Well, we'll
You,
talk about the region
I
once it
know, I know,
shows
I
up on
know.
all three of ours. That way I can defend it against where you guys have.
I, I'm floored. Well, okay, my last place is also Kandarin, so welcome to the Kandarin Hate Club.
Okay. Scritic?
Okay, so obviously before we started this, I'd included Karamdra and Mistlin, which are lower than Kandarin. But I'm with you guys. I think when we go out of the starting regions and the freebies, Kandarin is the lowest for me as well. So I think Double, since you kicked this off, do we want to talk about why it's lowest for all of us?
Yeah, I mean, you guys said I was a Kandarin defender. It's kind of sad because the way I see it is that like Kandarin, like there's been some really good changes to leagues. For example, the whole idea of, when you get a kind of like component item, upgrade scape as it's commonly called and stuff like that. Now you just get the full thing. So like an amulet of Rancor, you just get that from Morytania. Um, Things like what else am I thinking of? There's a couple others. The Dragon Hunter Lance, right? Originally you needed
Yeah.
Kandarin for the Zamrak Hosta, and now you just get that for free. And I think that has kind of really hurt Kandarin a lot, where there's almost no reason to take Kandarin anymore, except for like piety, I guess, which you can still work around. Um, I was also thinking about like the Tormented bracelet. Like, there's a chance that Doom just drops the conflagration gauntlets or whatever they're called, and then like what is left? Like, what is left in Kandarin at this point? It's so bare bones, and yeah, I feel like there's just no like big reason to take it.
Oh man, wow. I'm really surprised just because I know last year we had talked about it, but it's like also the activities in Kandarin. Yeah, you've got so many mini games, and particularly things like Barbarian Assault. Unless they pulled tasks away from it, it's been an unpopular region. So like I know like last year we had a couple of accounts that were in this area, and it was like, hey, Double Shine, can your alt and your other alt come help me so we can get this task, please? Because there's just like nobody there. Oh, it's so brutal. And the fact that all these completed items, I mean, really? I don't even think Kandarin has that many combinations either. Like, even if we did have to do combo items, there's like two or three good ones in the mix. So it's really been power crept by other regions. Like they basically just do Kandarin's job, but better.
Yeah. Same reason for me, honestly. I wrote down here, my exact words were, yeah, you could argue Kandarin is a good skill in region, but relics kind of trivialize that, don't they? Let's be honest. In the past, you would probably look at a region and think, what does that give me that relics don't? But I think because relics have come on such a long way now that you can build your league's account in a way that covers off any weakness that your region leaves, Kandarin just falls behind, and any win you could make an argument for Kandarin, another region probably has it covered. So I think that's totally fair. And I actually have a really big question about Kandarin for you guys that I'm interested to hear your take on. What would Kandarin need to make it a competitive region this year?
Oh, I know 100%.
Go
So
for it.
last year they tried to do this sort of like elemental weakness something. We've got the smoke battle staff that comes from the smoke double boss. That already makes standard spells a little bit stronger. If we see a return of something like the Devil's Element, where it gives us elemental weakness, we could give Kandra an identity of, hey, let's make it the elemental build. All it really needs access to is something like Wrath Runes. Right now, you can't. I mean, it has the Myth Guild technically, but how are you going to get Dragon Slayer 2? Last year you had to have the Fremennik region in order to do this, and so it's like, let's just give it that. Let's give it Wrath Runes. I don't even think it's that big of like a shakeup, right? It's just you unlock the Myth Guild as a part of Kandarin. Well, now you have most of the components. You're still working on armor, but you can still pick up this region and have like a really fun build. Would it top something like Shadow? Probably not, but it doesn't have to, right? We get things like the Darok build and Morytania. Like we had that last year. You get the Barrow's gloves, you get full Daroks, you start smacking like 400s on Giant Mole or something. At least there's like something fun there on offer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I think like what you mentioned about like echo items and stuff like that, that has been kind of like a new way. I think that they can make regions good and stuff like that. And like, I mean, the issue that I have with Kandarin though, and why I think it's so rough is that like the two big bosses, Kraken and Thermi, they're locked behind such high Slayer levels that I feel like even if it was a good Echo item, like I think they just need to make like the Echo boss available at the start because like how good is an Echo item if you need 93 Slayer to get it from Thermi, right? Which by the way, Echo Thermi, one of the best fights. I really really enjoyed that fight,
I don't
but like again, it's so late. I think that like yeah, I think it just needs something that you can do not at the end of your account.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I mean, what we need to get Echo fishing trawler version of Kraken instead, then.
Yeah, maybe Echo
You know?
Barbarian Assault that drops like a mega rare
Echo-
vulture. I don't
God.
know.
Okay,
Might be
Echo
worth it.
Barb Queen, maybe. Yeah, that could work.
Although, okay, you know what? Actually, maybe you're onto something. Because, with other Echo bosses, they let you skip kind of like the wave or whatever mechanic, like the extra time. That would
Yeah.
solve it. If you don't have people running around in Kandarin, you just skip to the Echo Queen, done, and then you can farm out points there too.
Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of with you on what you were saying, Yew Jack, where I think just to throw my 50 pence in on what I think could make Kandarin worth picking this year is I'm actually okay with the high Slayer requirements. I know it is annoying, but I feel like Kandarin kind of shines as an early region to get you to your next two regions, right? You go in and all the tasks or the majority of the tasks are so easy to tick off that it's a very safe first region pick, isn't it? If you're considering Kandarin, Kandarin's a great first region pick. And it's good for snowballing tasks because they're quite easy to do. But if they were to bring back Echo Thermi or Echo Kraken, both high Slayer requirements, I think let's stick with the elemental weakness. But one thing that, God, I've been riding this train so hard and I really hope it comes in. But is, instead of just increasing the elemental weakness kind of exploitation percentage, let's just apply universal weakness to every NPC in the game. That would fill so much of a gap that it's currently leaving with the lack of coverage that elemental weakness currently has, and that could make it really fun. So I'd like to see that personally. I'm not sure how you guys feel about that, but I think that would be a fun way to buff magic in a way that isn't totally centered on like powered staffs like the Shadow and stuff.
Yeah. I remember talking about a similar idea last year too, after we got the Devil's Element revealed. That was before we had the sort of like expansion of elemental weakness. So, now we have a lot more opportunity to take advantage of it. But even still, you're right. I mean, I think even in Kandarin, there's not like that much in terms of elemental weakness, even after the expansion. So being able to turn around and use that on the bosses in the region, there's not a lot of them, but, kind of adds to that fun too. Because, like Echo Soul, you take like your Echo Spear, you can go back into Echo Soul and use it to crush him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it needs that application. It really does. But that's just my opinion. Maybe viewers out there have a better opinion on what could make Kandarin great again. So you'll have to let us know. But yeah, that's all of our opinions on Kandarin. Where do we go from here? You got more?
I want to throw a bone to the people who do like Kandarin. All right, I discovered a couple of things. I was looking at it. I don't think it makes it worth
the 10 people out there.
Does it make it worth picking Kandarin? I don't think so. But hey, so with Mistlin gone, we don't have access to the Pure Essence Mine anywhere else. All of the other NPCs that teleport you there, they're all in Kandarin.
Yeah, no, honestly, it is a fair point because it was just yesterday that I messaged Double and I said, hey, planning something separate, but I said to him, runecrafting is a big problem this league, particularly as we're starting in Varlamore, and one of the big quests that people are going to want to get into early is Perilous Moons with a 20 runecraft requirement. You're going to have to dump your diary. Everyone's diary lamps are going on runecraft. Unless, of course, you do pick Kandarin. So, yeah, I think you have a fair point there, honestly.
And AFK Pure Essence Mine.
I mean,
really just comes. I think it comes out to like what they do with runecrafting, because I feel like it would be kind of crazy if the only way of getting pure, like I don't know, maybe we have to like spend an hour going through all the Pure Essence. I'm sure the League's Discord has already done this. They've like mapped out every Pure Essence drop in the game by now.
Ankus, baby, Ankus.
All right.
Oh no. 60 fluorescents at a time. Oh.
Any thoughts on Kandarin? Were you good to move on? I think we're all pretty in agreement there.
I'll give you one more thing. One more thing that I think is a positive for Kandarin. I don't know, because I was just prepping this earlier this morning, so I was looking around. Kandarin does have a lot of thieving NPCs. Now, not necessarily for like the fastest thieving XP, but if we do get a thieving relic, it has kind of like the higher tier ones that drop clues. So I actually think Kandarin is still, it's kind of a double-edged sword with clues. It's a big area, so when you unlock the clue steps, it's kind of a pain in the butt to do them. But it does give you AFK, like pickpocketing clues for mediums, hards, and even elites are on there. So they come from gnomes, heroes, and one of the other high level ones that's in Ardoin. So yeah, maybe like a clue region kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I played around with that in Deadman, to be honest. There was like a moment where I loaded up an alt account and just went and sat at Tree Gnome Village, just pickpocketing gnomes, because they were just a great source of, clues and some secondary stuff, fire orbs, whatever. So yeah, I think you got a good point there. And I think that's going to be a big one to come back to when we see the reveals, because dodgy deals, a lot of people actually maybe unknowingly relied on that relic last year. And if it doesn't come back, or if it's not early, if it's not tier 1, 2, maybe even 3 at a push, I don't know, man. I think we're gonna have to come up with new ideas, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I rest my case with Kandarin. If that didn't do enough for people,
you haven't sold it to me.
I'm sorry. I haven't sold it to myself. Ugh.
Yeah. So next, I'll move up. I'll do my number 7 pick, which is Fremennik.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? Bang on the money. Same as mine.
Okay.
Same for me as well.
And, okay. Wow. Well, there you go. Fremennik. I guess we'll talk about it now. So, I guess, what do you guys think? Why is Fremennik? Why is it better than Kandarin? Let's just say that.
It has decent stuff. Like decent, right? I mean, I think Fremennik is experiencing the same problem that Kandarin has, where it's starting to get power crept by other regions. It's not like fully there yet, but it's hurting. It's kind of on its last leg. If they give us, I don't like that they gave us Echo gigantic stack sticks in the last one. I prefer the Echo items to have more of like a interesting effect of some kind. Give us a cool weapon or give us some sort of passive type of thing. So it sort of forced people to pick Fremennik. If they don't do that again, I mean, man, if we're starting in Varlamore, we get the quiver. So like, Forecat's backpack, useless. None of the stuff in Fremennik is like best in slot. It all goes into other things. I mean, it's a little tough for Fremennik out there.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's a bad time to be Fremennik unless you are a J mod, putting those goddamn pieces of jewelry back in. And the exact words I wrote down were, the only reason Fremi isn't bottom of the pile is because of Echo DKs from Leagues 5. So I think that says it all. I mean, the thing that drew everyone there was that, I mean, can I just say, first of all, Echo Dagonoth Kings was top 3 for me. That was such a fun fight. It felt so smooth. It was so much fun. So kudos to Jagex. I wonder if that one will come back or whether we see something new. But yeah, the reason I've not ranked it lower, and it was close for me between Kandarin and Fremi, but the only reason is because I feel like Jagex have to put something strong into Fremi. There's too much of you, as you've just said there, Yew Jack, that is now being overwritten by the league's quality of life changes in other regions. So, DT2 bosses now all drop in a Soul Reaper axe. Between them collectively, you can just go to one, be able to get Soul Reaper axe. They just drop the upgraded ring. So all of those DK's base rings just feel bad, to be honest with you. And the only real things, I guess, you could maybe make an argument for a Musper, Duke if you enjoy the boss, and Vorkath if you enjoy the boss, because Lunar Spellbook is also just lost value because of Grimoire. It's a relic that gives you access to all the spellbooks or the prayer books, regardless of regions. So Fremi is kind of in the bin unless Jagex buff it, which I feel like they're kind of forced to do, honestly.
Another really big one for me was actually the Stonemason, which traditionally you needed Fremennik to go to Keldagrim and get that guy, and that's always been like one of those like really crazy early game engines that you get like a ton of points to get all your construction done when you pair it with like one of the, golden god style, fire sale style, like tons of money relics. And now everybody has access to that through Varlamore. And to me, that was like a pretty big draw of Fremennik. So it loses that, like you guys mentioned. I think last year, like a lot of people might be like, oh, but it was so popular last year. And again, it was just because those stat stick like jewelry pieces. And I
Mhm.
think my hope is that they move away from those in favor of like more like fun items rather than just like, okay, this region is just good because you get like 30% damage because you chose this region.
You know what's so
Yeah.
funny, too, with them doing that? I sort of understand the rings because the Dagannoth Kings are known for the rings, so sure, give them like the super ultra upgraded ring. That's fine. I don't know why they included the necklace. That was just like, let's kill Kandarin a little bit more, because Kandarin has all these different necklaces, and it's just like, nah, give it to the Dagannoth Kings. Oh man,
Yeah, it killed Kandarin even more. I mean, honestly, it didn't matter what build you were doing. Did it in Leagues 5, if you're mage, if you're range, if you're melee, the jewelry was just too good. So,
yeah.
I mean, if they do it again this year, I'm not sure what they could change to stop it necessarily being like a wow, I have to pick that region, otherwise I'm just trolling. Um, but it also does need something strong. And listen, I haven't got any ideas to like sell to you guys, but I think it needs to avoid being items, as you've just said there, you Jack, that are well renowned best in slot drops from other regions. So necklaces, get rid, even if it's rings, I feel like that kind of competes too much with the other DT2 bosses and with the Ring of Suffering from Kandarin. So what does that leave us with? A blessing slot maybe, like a big blessing slot item, a shield item maybe. I don't know. There's things they can do, but I hope they avoid that because that just added to, um, nerfing other regions into the ground. Really.
Yeah, I
So I guess
think
I would ask the same question then. Oh yeah, go
or
for it.
for me the only other thing is like in terms of like what items you actually do get there, like you do get the Venator bow, which is really cool. But Muspa is terrible in leagues. It is like one of the worst bosses to do. It like bugs out like
Those are the
25%
bugs,
of the
yeah.
time. You have to like do the phase and stuff
Yeah.
where you're like, it's just like any boss that just feels awful in leagues is such a like, it's such a huge like negative for me. So that's kind of my like one of my biggest issues there. And I mean,
Yeah, I
Duke
forgot
had to
about
be
it.
changed because of leagues, basically, which is like big. That's awesome that they did that, but I think that shows sort of the issues with the region.
The phasing on Muspa, dude. I totally forgot about that. You're so right. Uh, well, so what I wanted to ask you guys, kind of the same question that Scritic threw out there for Kandarin. I mean, what does it take to make Fremi choosable? If they drop the Grimoire relic, and now maybe you like, does Lunars give it enough pull, or maybe you're considering it?
That's a hard one, man. That's really difficult. I mean, I think that off the bat, um, it doesn't need to be anything necessarily that changes about Fremennik. I think what could change to make Fremennik more attractive instead are either relics or combat masteries. Because if you have something that specifically buffs the items in that region instead of buffing the items or giving it new items, then that just makes that region more attractive, right? So let's say there's I'm just totally making this up. Let's say there is a combat mastery that allows bows that hit, I don't know, more than once to gain either flat damage or to bounce an additional time. All of a sudden, the Venator bow looks incredible. That's just one example. If they do more stuff like that, I don't think they need to go out of their way to invent something crazy for Fremennik. And that way it gives people a bit more creative freedom to kind of pick and choose that, right? That would be my opinion, instead of having to design something so overpowered that people feel like they're missing out by not picking it.
Yeah, it could also add sailing, but I mean, there's a lot of islands there that are good, but we don't get sailing, so
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Not this league. We'll
yeah,
save
maybe
that one
next
for League
leagues we'll
7.
see.
That did get me thinking though. You guys remember Pocket Kingdom? That was one of the relics from last year, where it
Mhm.
basically just gave you Kingdom Miscellanea, but in your pocket. I wonder if they could also do a sort of like doubling up effect almost. So if you took Fremennik, I mean, last year it kind of felt bad if you had Pocket Kingdom. Why are you going to go out of your way for Kingdom of Miscellanea? Because you already have it. But maybe if it can stack kind of in the way that you're talking, like, oh, well, if you pick Pocket Kingdom, it gives you resources every 6 hours. But if you take Fremennik, now it's every hour. So, like, ups the scale a little bit, makes it a little more interesting for you.
Yeah, or just add some quality of life to Fremi and allow you to, I don't know, NPC contact someone in Miscellanea to be able to claim it. You know, just as
Dude,
a feature of the region.
They could give you Pocket Kingdom for free. I still wouldn't choose
That's
that
what I mean.
region.
Like, just
Like,
just give it to people
no,
to pick
give them for
Fremi.
free.
Like, throw him a bone, man. So
I
none
like
of us rate
Pocket
Fremi
Kingdom.
high. That's
Nope.
crazy. I mean, I'm not surprised. But I think that I'm really interested then. If we've all put Kandarin at the bottom and Fremi next, I really feel like none of us have picked the same thing for this next one. Could we move
Yep.
on to it?
Yeah.
I'm hoping it gets a little bit more. Okay, so this is my number 6. Okay, my number 6 is Asgarnia. Does anybody have
I'm
it higher?
surprised. Oh yeah, I've got it a lot
Oh,
higher.
yeah.
Do you have
I'm
it higher?
definitely up there on that one.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
we'll leave that for later. Yew Jack, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is, and I had to go back and forth on this a lot. Tirannwn.
Okay, I
What
have that
the?
higher. Critic, do you have that higher?
Yeah, way
Okay,
higher.
Scritic, what's your number 6? We'll save it till we get there.
My number 6 is the Wilderness.
Okay,
Come on.
I have
come
that
on.
higher.
Yeah,
I have that higher.
crazy.
So we'll move up. We'll skip this for now because I think this is where it gets interesting. My number 5 is the Wilderness.
Yeah, fair
Yeah.
enough.
You, Jack?
Fair enough.
My number 5 is also the Wilderness.
Okay, well, let's talk about it then. So I think we should
So-
probably start with Scritic because you have it the lowest compared to us.
Yeah, but like, so for similar reasons to Fremennik, honestly. Okay, so first I'm gonna gas Wilderness up a little bit, okay? I'm gonna bounce on it because Wilderness is actually kind of insane. It's probably one of, if not the fastest region for things like prayer, early gear, even Slayer, GP. So like, don't get me wrong, it's got some great things going for it. The bosses are all kind of like, I don't know, early to mid tier in terms of progression. Like you could do them all at level 40 combat without a problem. And I feel like that's where it becomes lackluster for me, is like beyond a certain point of progression in the game, Wilderness just becomes a utility region. There's nothing that remains fun for me there. And you could argue that, you know, going to rack someone at Chaos Altar who's just started League on day, you know, their day 1 and I'm day 5, you could argue that's fun. I would disagree, but you could argue that's fun.
Don't you do that. Don't people out there watching take a look. Don't do it, okay? I'm gonna be so mad.
Hey, it's an example,
Just
okay? It's an
smack me.
example. But listen, the only reason that it wasn't potentially lower, and the only reason I can't put it higher, is because it was propped up last year by its Echo Boss and Echo item. And I feel like I just really can't for the life of me judge a region entirely based off its Echo like variant and Echo drop, because it could change this year. And I feel like you tend to take those Echo items, and let's be honest, 9 times out of 10, you take them to a fun region to use them in, like a raid region. So that's why Wilderness is low for me, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I don't know. I think the Wildy is just, it's so, like, it's so good in terms of resources, and you have so many, like, good answers for, like, a lot of different skilling stuff. You've got, of course, like you mentioned, the prayer altar. I 100% agree, though. Like, this is why it's still pretty low on my list, is just the content itself is, like, not particularly great. It's not, like, a standout for me, but it's not, like, a huge negative either. I don't know. Maybe this is, like, post Deadman. I'm just, like, enjoying the Wildy a lot more now because it's gone up a lot for me, and I think, like, there is something kind of fun about doing, like, the group bosses, like Callisto and Vedion and stuff like that. I remember I did Vedion, and I was, like, Kopesh spamming it, and I PK'd my clanmate, like, 10 times in an hour. He was so pissed. Like, I couldn't figure out how to stop, like, just spamming it.
That's a good point, though. You can still do those group bosses even though everybody's in Iron. You just have to do like the bigger version of them too. So everybody's super powered in leagues. I think group bosses in general are going to be really fun. You just blow everything up really quick.
Yeah, and you're just like printing supplies. Like honestly, it's pretty
Hmm.
crazy, and I've had a lot of fun there. And I think a lot of these like sort of I want to say like easy regions, but these like less hassle regions have kind of grown on me a lot. And I don't think there's that much like I guess like friction in the wildy. So I'm actually a pretty big fan of it. Like I know a lot of people think like, oh, aren't you gonna get PK'd there? And like it happened to me. Like I had like a couple people with Kopesh drive by, and that's about it. So like
Yeah, well,
not that bad.
Scritic will jump you in rags, but like everybody else, they'll leave you alone.
I might, but no, yeah, I think it's exactly as you said there. To be honest, I'm curious. What's your input, you Jack? What's your thoughts on the Wildy then?
I almost wanted to put it one up. I, I really like the wilderness. Not so much in the main game. I mean, I get annoyed when people PK me too. But for leagues, there's a lot less incentive for that because people aren't getting your drops. So, besides like, hey, get off my rev spot. Most of the time it's like, all right, a dude takes you down, you teleport back with your like teleport relic because it saved your spot or whatever. So it's not that big of a deal. And like Double Shine had said, a lot of resources. Maybe one of the downsides of the wilderness, it's also very money heavy, like money forward. A very good GP generator, and in the past couple of leagues, we've had some sort of relic that solves that problem. So it hasn't really been that important for you.
Yeah.
If we didn't get that, I'm starting to look at the wilderness more, just because regardless of what combination you choose, you're probably going to want some sort of support region, and the wilderness does a good job of supporting just kind of general gameplay. Like, yeah, you're not getting like a lot of cool stuff out of there unless they do something crazy with the echo. You get like the upgraded mage cape, which I mean, I guess, but it's not like that big of a piece. So then, why are you looking at it? Well, it's a support region. All the bosses are quick. You can pick up the points. You kind of raise all your other skills up without having to try too hard, and that's what I really like about it. Kind of like Double said, it's a very chill region. There's not a lot that you have to farm out. When you compare it to something like raids, go send 100 chambers. Like, it's going to be time consuming even in leagues. But yeah, you can go blow up the wilderness bosses in 15 seconds with your buddies, take them out with some Coppish lightning, get some extra fun out of it, and then move on. Go to the other regions that you want to farm out.
Yeah. Do we think the Kopesh is coming back?
I feel like I kind of like the idea of having like new echo items. I know a lot of people like it and stuff like that, but I mean, it came back in Gridmaster. It was also really huge in Deadman recently and stuff. And I think it's one of those things where like you can't just add more and more and more stuff every single league. So I feel like it kind of like implodes, if that makes sense. So I think something else would be more fun, but the same idea of like a really cool new weapon or something like that. Something that helps with Corp would actually go a really long way because that was what the Kopesh was really good at. And Corp is probably the one like tough piece of content in the Wildy that can kind of suck. So something like that.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Something that I really hope to see this year, that I was surprised they didn't do it last year, is making the rev weapons work everywhere. Just letting them have their buff outside of the wilderness. I know it's like a within wilderness echo, it's not that cool because, well, they already work in the wilderness, but, they do this with Deadman mode as well. And like, it's great. Yeah, they don't compete with the mega rares, but they don't have to. It's like a fun thing. You charge up your rev weapon and then run around in Barlamore and start smacking stuff with your Ursine chain mace. I think
Yeah.
that would be really cool. However they want to implement that offhand or like a blessing slot or something like that. I think that would make for a good item this year. And then they don't have to bring back the Compish, so you still get a cool weapon, but it's not the same thing that we've seen now in the last couple of game modes.
Yeah, I really like that. And I really like that relic in, not relic, sigil in Deadman mode, the revoke limitation one that let you use rev weapons. It was insane. Like, it just made it best in
Mhm.
slot everywhere. I guess that would be my, I mean, it's not really a concern, but like, that would push Wildy up massively. In terms of tier ranking, I think if they added in, let's say it gets the Varlamore treatment or the Wildy treatment from last year, where there's 2 echo items. It gets a weapon or a piece of armor, and then like the blessing that lets you carry Wildy weapons out of the Wildy. Then how would it compare to almost everything else? I think it would put Wildy at S tier for a first starting region pick, honestly. So I'd be interested to see what they do for an echo item now. I'm sure they've probably already thought about that.
Yeah, I think the point
Yeah.
though is like just like with all the stuff we talked about earlier about like upgrades and stuff, like they could balance it however they want, but I just feel like getting an item in a region that you can't really use, that just doesn't ever feel good because you're already so
Yeah.
limited on content that like, getting a cool weapon and it's like, okay, I can use it at like the 4 bosses here and I can't use it anywhere else. It's like, well, why don't I just pick another region that has something else that's good instead? So
hmm
Yeah, well, and I also like this because there are 3 different rev weapons, right? So you get one for every style. So, with the Koppish, it was like, yeah, you can do some cool melee builds. Like, you don't pick it for anything else because it doesn't matter. But now, there's more reason. If you wanted to pick up Wilderness and you have a mage build, cool, go get your, whatever Rev Scepter. And now you can take that everywhere, and that's kind of like your charged weapon. Saves you from having to do the Slayer grind in Kandarin. I know, rip Kandarin, but, gives you something to kind of work towards as you're moving up toward the higher tier weapons. And same thing with any of the styles too.
yep.
Yeah. Could work. Could work. I do just think wordy weapons are that strong that if you took them out, it would make every other region feel bad all of a sudden. But that's just my take. Right. Moving on.
Yeah, let's move
Next
on.
tier?
So we got Scritic's number 6 because I think that's where we left off at.
Oh,
Number
okay.
5.
Sure. So
Or wait,
my next
Scritic's number 5. Yeah, sorry. You're
Yeah,
number
yeah.
5.
I've got it down as 6, but 5's fine. All right, number 5. It's probably my numbers, man. Like
Whatever's
I already
higher
missed
than
the
Wildy
region when
for
I did
you,
this.
basically.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's after Wildy? What do we got?
It's the desert. The desert is the next one.
I have that higher.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
I knew you would. You're
Yeah.
you're a desert sympathizer.
I feel like we've had this conversation before even. Okay, so I'll move on. So now we're in top 4. So we're at the upper half. And I think this is where it gets really fun because I think there's going to be a
How have we
lot
not
more
hit Tirannwn
disagreement.
yet for one of you guys?
Okay, number
Goodness gracious.
4, Tirannwn. Yep, that's mine.
I've got it higher. I've
All
got
right.
it higher.
Then we do Yew Jack.
What?
What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Desert.
I have that higher. Scritic, what's your number 4?
Mine is Asgarnia.
Okay.
I got that one higher.
All right. Then we move to top 3. It'll very quickly rattle itself out. Okay. My
This
number
is kind of
3
Go Fish,
is
isn't it?
Morytania.
Well,
I'm assuming
I've
you
got
have it
it
higher
higher.
based on that face. Okay. Yew Jack, your number 3?
What did I just hear?
are you guys crazy? What are we doing?
No, we gotta talk
All
about
right.
these.
All right.
Okay, Yew Jack, what's your number 3?
So my number 3 is Asgarnia, which
Okay, so
think
let's talk
that
about
means-
that.
yeah, I think we've picked that one up. Who had it the lowest?
I had it the lowest at number 6.
I think double, yeah.
Dude,
All right, let's hear
Asgarnia, it sucks. What do you guys like? I don't understand how you guys have it this high. It is not fun. Like, the way I see it is that there are just like not fun bosses there. There's like a lot of gear that you get, but it's not even that like I guess like I don't know. I just don't even value it that much compared to like other regions that just have better stuff. Anyways, like why do you need Bandos when you could just get Blood Moon from Varlamar anyways? And like God Warriors is not very fun for me to do. Nex is very bad. Whisperer just breaks when you do it in leagues. You're like running from intermission to intermission. The boss just starts like I don't know. It just bugs out like half the time. Like I don't know. I just feel like Asgardia to me is like such a not good region, and like there's just not a lot of fun things that I'm like excited about Asgarnia.
Okay, can I say something?
Yeah, go
Go for
go
it.
for it. Go.
Here's what I wrote down. Word for word. Hear me out. Asgarnia is like a potato. It looks pretty plain on the surface, might even seem a little boring, but it's got so many versatile applications. You got Void, good skilling methods, a good collection of bosses, unique items. It just has a good bit of everything, but it's not the best of the best, And that's why I had it at where have I got it? 5? That's why I've got it at 5. I don't think it's like particularly high. I think it's like middle of the stack for me. Because I agree, it's lacking end game content that's actually fun. Because I mean the big problem with Whisperer, it's a boss I enjoy, but in leagues you're zooming through it so quick it has to catch up with all of its special attacks, and then you're sat there waiting for half the kill. Cerberus is I tell you what, Cerberus has taken a backseat, obviously, because Doom's probably going to drop max treads or, I don't know, at least treads, which you could argue are just better than going out of your way to get Asgarnia. And Nex is just horrible, man. Like let's not lie about it. Nex is horrible. So yeah, that's why I've got it in the middle.
Makes me nervous. I don't know if I can defend this. I'm gonna be
Hey,
real.
you put it
I
in
put
top
Whisper
3.
out of. I put
Yeah,
Whisper out of
that's
my
crazy.
mind. I didn't think about the Whisper whatsoever when I ranked this thing because I didn't want to do it. But I will say I really enjoy the Royal Titans. That's a new one I think for this league. I know it's like a mid game thing, so yeah. I mean, it's not like you're gonna get the staff, and it's not anything crazy. But I do enjoy the boss. I kind of like the drops that are there. It's got the interesting interaction with like the pages as well that we'll be able to use in Varlamore, get some rune crafting XP if we want. Boyd as well as kind of like a mid game option for yourself. Fill out the gear before you go into God Wars. Now I know God Wars is definitely mixed. I've heard a lot of people, they go dry at God Wars, they hate it, it's boring. I might be living a little in 2007. All right, I remember the days going back with the boys, like just camping it out at Bandos. I like me a chill boss, and so I can go just sit in the boss room. They're easy, right? I equip whatever stuff I have on. I just walk in there, prayers up. I'm done. I walk away from my computer, and I'll kill Bandos 50 times, get the gear. I'll be done with it, right? And I'm gonna do that for every boss besides, I mean, maybe like Saradomin is a little tougher. But, I think they're easy. It would help if we get something like dupe protection, maybe as a relic or a combat mastery, because I know, you don't want to go dry there. People were going like 500 kills, 1,000 kills at Armadillo. I get it. That's not that fun. Luckily, it's not like the biggest deal if you do. And yeah, I can't defend Nex. I mean, Nex is what it is. If we get like a Yama fight somewhere, maybe we don't have to worry about it. But I mean, Torva is also like typically best in slot melee. It's there. You can still take Nex down fairly quickly in leagues. It probably would also benefit a little bit from something like dupe protection. That's why I can't really rate Asgarnia higher, because I know people will go dry. I know it's a pain in the butt to farm that stuff out. But I think it's the fact that Asgarnia has a lot of variety, and I like the fact that it's got variety. Yeah, some of these regions,
It's a potato,
when you
man.
yeah, it's like some of these regions when you pick them,
Yeah.
you're locked into like whatever the one big thing is. You pick a raid region. I hope you enjoy that raid because it's got at least 25% of the points in the region, so you're gonna like have to interact with it. Next has some points. You could skip it. It's not that many. Yeah, it's like do the easy stuff in God Wars. Cool. Go get your Royal Titan stuff. Get Void. Maybe you're done. You want to try struggling a little bit with Whisper. In general, I don't like any of the Desert Treasure 2 bosses for leagues. Now, maybe Vardorvis, but it's more so like a farming thing, because I think all of them struggle heavily. Like, if you're going for the axe, you're going for the robes. They're all really rare drops, and so it's just going to take you a while. So I kind of avoid the Desert Treasure 2 bosses myself when I'm in leagues. It's probably why I forgot about it for Asgardia. Like, it's blocked out there. I don't have to think about it. It's fine. And it still has good skilling in there too. I mean, you have like the mining guilds, so you got a lot of options there. You pick up some other like miscellaneous stuff in the area as well. A little bit of farming in the mix. I mean, it's got some stuff there. Got about as much skilling stuff as Kandarin does, but then you also get bosses you can do with reasonably useful gear. You know.
I know you mentioned the Royal Titans, and like that's actually originally I had it a little bit higher until I started thinking about all the stinkers, because I think the prayers that you get from Royal Titans are actually really, really cool. And I mean, we've talked about like Grimoire, which gave you all the spell books and all the prayers, but that's a relic choice. If that comes back, that's competing with something else, right? So if you pick Asgarnia and you get the prayers, and now you maybe don't have to do Chambers of Zarek to get those prayers, and you still get that damage buff, like it's actually pretty good and stuff. So I'm excited for that. I think Royal Titans push it up like a lot for me, but oh man, I just don't want to do any of the other bosses. Honestly, I don't want to touch them. So
Not even Mole.
nope.
Yeah,
Definitely
come on,
not the
Mole's in
Mole.
there. Dude, give me an Echo Mole. I'm holding out for it.
It's funny how, now that we're getting to the higher ranked things, Yew Jack just fiercely defended Asgarnia there. That was a bloody good speech, But we're all going to get a little bit passionate about this and give the good reasons. And I think you actually did highlight a few things there that I'd probably brushed over a little bit. It's really hard this year, particularly because of how good Varlamore is. Like, it is so much more difficult to, I'm not saying it's more difficult in the sense of, hey, if we start in Varlamore, we get 3 region picks. You're going to be, breezy no matter what. But it's so much harder to rank these regions, knowing that our starting region arguably sets us up perfectly fine to do every piece of content in the game. So it's difficult. It's really difficult. Props to you for that one, because I will not budge on where I have ranked Asgarnia. It is middle of the pile for me.
No, I think I totally
It's
agree
right.
with like Varlamore being such a great like all around starting region now, and that's why for me, I think this year especially, I'm really valuing regions that have content that I enjoy versus just like
Yeah.
what's the best gear, like what's going to maximize my DPS, because I feel like you already get so much just from Varlamore itself.
Yeah, you do.
And I guess that's fair. A lot of what I'm saying is, as Asgarnia, I'm like, hey, I enjoy doing the thing too. Like, I know the boots aren't going to be best in slot. Bonus if they don't give us max treads.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's like that's not even what I'm worried about, because I already know Varlamore is just so stacked. Like, you could literally just get all the gear in Varlamore, and you could probably do everything in the game. Like, you don't even need to worry at that point. Yeah, I know some people want to like min max a little bit, but it's pretty strong.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. I think you've made a good point though, because the last thing I think any of us would want people to do on the back of this video is to go away and think, well, I want to pick this region, but they ranked it really low, but I really enjoy the content there. At the end of the day, because Varlamore is so strong, just pick 3 regions you really enjoy the content in, and you'll have a great time. So that is a really important point.
Yep. Any last defense of Asgarnia?
Last defense, I've already convinced everybody watching. You
Yeah,
guys are the crazy ones now.
we'll
Sorry,
see. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, Scritic, what is yours above Asgarnia?
My number 3, I believe,
Yeah.
is Tirannwn.
Okay, let's talk about that. And I think we should start with Yew Jack, who has it at their number 6, which is pretty low. So,
Oh
Yeah.
man, I just defended Asgarnia. All right, I got to trash Tirannwn a little bit. It's a tiny region. There's not a lot of skilling stuff. There's not a lot of anything really.
Size doesn't matter, bro.
Hey, I don't know.
No, I'm kidding.
It's got 2 bosses, right? I mean, there's not a lot of gear. The skilling stuff that you do pick up. I mean, it's not like there isn't anything, but it's the same problem that we run into with the other like lower regions in my ranking. There's nothing unique. Varlamore has red chins. Tirannwn has red chins. Well, there goes that one. You want Runite ore? I mean, yeah, it's got 4 rocks, but like you can get that in other regions, right? I mean, there's nothing that really like pulls you there. The only thing I can think is like, yeah, maybe the blowpipe from Zulrah and then the crystal armor. Like those are the 2 things that you're really looking at when you go to Tirannwn. It may be thieving, right? Like thieving elves, okay, sure, right? So there's not a lot of like big selling points. And the reason why I put it so low is because historically, for crystal armor, because the Bofa is a 4-tick weapon, it ends up competing against crossbows because it'll round down. So it's like, a tier 5 or a 5-tick weapon, that's the crossbow. When it gets halved, they round it down. So now you've got crystal bow versus like Zeahite crossbow. Which one's going to hit harder? And also the crystal bow, you now have to use the crystal armor, so it's even less flexible. And like for me, it doesn't make the crystal armor bad. Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, do the content that you want. If you think it's cool, go for it. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff that you do in leagues that isn't optimal, and that's totally fine. But man, it hurts it for me. And Magic is so weak in Tirannwn. The Crystal Blessing last year from the Echo Hunalith, it did save the region for me, because now I don't have to grind out Corrupted Gauntlet with the like prep phase. So yeah, I like shave off the 6 minutes or 8 minutes or whatever it is, and then I get the crystal armor. And like it was cool for a melee build because getting the like accuracy and damage bonus from that on melee weapons, cool. Didn't care about the Bofa. Go figure. It's like the big weapon that people would normally think of for the region. I like, nah. I got the blowpipe. It's 1 tick. I mean, that's good enough. I probably already went desert because the desert had a blowpipe and it had other better range armor anyway. So, besides like a really, really niche build, I don't know. And it doesn't have early content either. So, like, you're picking it up as like your last region because it's all high skilling stuff. I mean, everything's in Prifdinus, which is like end of the game anyway.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. And I think I should probably come in on the back of that because I've ranked it way too high. I've ranked it at number 3.
I
No,
won't
no,
judge
no,
you.
no,
Just
no.
bump it down. It's cool.
I'm dug in. I'm dug in, and I won't change. No, okay. So I did write that it's probably silly for me to rank it this high, given that it is aimed at, mid to high level. It's not a great first region pick, unless you've somehow got a ton of supplies and you just want to process it all. But honestly, my Tirannwn is like your Asgarnia. I love the content there. I love the Gauntlet. Most people have a love-hate relationship with the Gauntlet. I love it. I love the Gauntlet. Give me more of it. It doesn't matter that I went, 1.2k dry for an enhanced on an Iron Man. That doesn't matter. I'll go back. And I love Zora as well. I really do. Now, I do think that you've made a good point because I experienced exactly what you just described on my first Leagues 5 playthrough last year. I did a Ranger build. I went to Tirannwn as I believe my second or third region. Got full crystal, got a Bofa, got the crystal blessing. I think Zeah might have been my last region actually, send in raids with everyone. Pull a T-bow, and then Bofa's in the bin. Bofa's in the bin straight away. It's never being seen again. The T-bow is just so much better because it's a 5-tick rounded down to 2, same as the Bofa would have been. Dragon Hunter crossbow, same thing, even better. So yeah, I get it. And I do think that in order for Tirannwn to be more competitive, they're going to have to think of ways that, attack speed changes this year. And I really hope they have done that because historically, let's say Leagues 2, in fact, probably Twisted League as well. Actually, it is just Leagues 2, 4, and I believe 5, right? The attack speed was all just, based on the combat mastery or the relic was, half rounded up. And I kind of hope this year they go about it a different way, keep some of the love in some of those weapons that are traditionally good, but find niche ways to buff the other ones that are slower as well. But yeah, I love Tirannwn. I've got to be honest with you. I even put here, don't like Zalcano, will never do Zalcano. But I love the Gauntlet and I love Zora. So that's the reason it's so high.
No, yeah, I'm the exact same way. Like you said, there's only 2 bosses. Like, yeah, but they're like banger bosses. Like Zora is like basically a target dummy. You just hit it and it dies. And then like Echo Gauntlet is so insanely good.
It
like
so good.
It's so cool that you could just skip all the prep, go straight to the boss. I feel like I got so good at Gauntlet by just like on repeat grinding that boss. And it's got like a little bit extra mechanics and stuff, so it still feels like pretty fun. I don't know. I think that was really, really sick and stuff. And like I mean, you guys said like, I agree with like Bofa and stuff like that not being great. Blowpipe was insanely fun though. Like, I mean, I don't know if the whole like range never miss will come back, but 1-tick blowpipe never missing. Like, I felt like I had a machine gun in the game. It was so incredibly fun. I enjoyed that so much, and especially when with a 1-tick weapon, because every time you move, it's a DPS loss. There's like some times where I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna eat this mechanic and just like
hands off the keyboard.
Yeah, just like, hey, let's just see what happens, And it's like, I don't know. I just thought that was so fun. The region, like it's I don't know. I always had a lot of fun with it. It's also got like, I feel like there's always like some kind of weird interactions in Prif where you've got like thieving the elves, and then you start crafting the shields and whatnot to make like your crafting and smithing go up. I saw people doing this with like farming, or I think in Gridmaster there was also like people planting like trees and stuff to farm crystal shards. Like, I don't know, I just really love those interactions. I think they're pretty fun, and the region just has like so many positives and like very, very few downsides to me that I'm just like, I've always been, I don't know, I think I'm just really, really sold on the region right now.
Yeah, I think, can I just jump in again just to say that it's one thing I had noted but didn't mention because it's not like a selling point for me, but it is a selling point for a lot of other people. It does have the best thieving, smithing, and crafting method. If you want to max, or if you want to go to 200 mil, I really hope there's no 200 mil league tasks this year. But if there is, That is the fastest way to do it. So yeah, I think it has actually there is an argument that it has some early skilling. There are mines there are fishing spots, there are trees, whatever. There's an argument that you could use it for early game benefit, but you would feel bad not being able to tackle some of the bosses until later. So I kind of get that counterpoint as well.
I got trees.
There's trees. Can I say that? Is that gonna work? Is he gonna let that one slide?
I will say, out of the Echo bosses, as much as I hate on Tirannwn as kind of like a general region, it was my favorite Echo out of all of them. Just because, like, the Soul was a little overwhelming, I felt like. So it was hard for me to feel like I was actually learning the mechanics, because there's just so much going on. But Echo Hunalith, it didn't feel that much higher up than like a Corrupted Gauntlet run. And so it gave me way more incentive to like go and actually learn that boss, learn the mechanics, and kind of like what you were saying, Double. I came out of that and I was like, I actually think I can do Gauntlet better now because of that. So it's not all bad, but that was like my third account. I'm like that. It was last choice. Still not for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so we've all agreed Tirannwn is fantastic. Which
and
is great.
Asgarnia sucks. No, but I think
Well,
it
it's
does.
okay.
I think it does go to show that like the content you enjoy doing really, really matters at the higher end, in my opinion. And like that is entirely subjective. Like obviously we can't tell you. Maybe you really like doing the Kraken, and you know what? More power to you. You don't even have to rent out a private
there's gonna be
instance.
one
You'll be the
person.
only person there. So okay. Top 2 now. This is where it gets pretty fun. My number 2 is Zeah.
Same here.
I got higher.
You got a higher? Okay. Yew Jack, what is your second?
My second is Morytania.
Okay.
Ooh. That's my number 1. That's my number 1, baby.
So now we're at the top. We're at the top 3 basically, which no surprise are the 3 raid regions. I'll start with mine then. The desert. I got the desert number 1. Okay.
That's crazy. Can I just say that's crazy? Like off the bat. Like
all right,
you're gonna have to have a
general. What you guys have to say, because you guys are fairly haters. So
no. You're gonna have a biblical speech ready here, and I'm ready to hear it because I won't slander it until I've heard how you defend it.
Here, we'll lean in. Right. I'm ready.
Dude, the desert is so good. Like I think people look at the desert and they think it's bad, but like when you actually break down what's in the desert, it's a lot of really good stuff. Okay, so first off, okay, obviously TOA, absolute banger raid in my opinion. I think a lot of people like TOB and a lot of people chose Morytania for Theater of Blood. I think that doing group TOAs was so much more chill because you don't need, first off, you don't need a group. You can actually solo it. You can't really solo hard mode theater. That's probably outside the scope of most people. Obviously, I know some people can. You don't need a mage. They made a lot of changes to TOA recently. Like Akka only has the one style. Monkey Room with a group. You're literally just camping, like you're spawn camping these monkeys. It's super fun. The whole raid just feels really chill. I felt like I had way less, like in Theater of Blood, I felt like I had to kind of focus and do the mechanics, and then like somebody messes up and you're like, oh man. In TOA, somebody messes up and you guys are just laughing in Discord at each other. Like it just felt way more fun. You're still getting purples all the time, especially now with the higher end, having higher weighting and stuff like that. Plus you're getting Masori, you're getting Fang if you want to have, some off-style melee. Obviously, this might not be the best weapon for like your main style, but it's just got a lot of good stuff. Light Bearer, always really good to use, right? And then outside the raid, because I know everybody loves the raid, but outside of that, like I think Echo Calphite Queen, if that comes back, which I'm assuming it probably will, because there's not really any other boss that I think could be an Echo boss. I think Echo Calphite Queen was great. And that really shores up like one of the worst parts of the desert. Then you've got what? You've got Leviathan. I think Leviathan in Leagues is genuinely a really fun boss. It feels like you're playing like Guitar Hero. You don't have to do any of the actual mechanics. You're just kind of like tapping your prayers and stuff. Temperos, when you have good skilling relics and you're like one downing it, I still found that really fun. Guardians of the Rift, it kind of stinks. But rune crafting kind of stinks for everybody, right? Like, come on, we're saying we're picking Kandarin to get essence, like, and the desert is like the stinker here. Like, what are we talking about? I don't know. I think the desert's got a lot of good stuff. Um, I don't know. I think you really like. There's good thieving stuff as well. I mean, I don't think there's anything bad. Mage Training Arena. We don't talk about that. That's I won't defend that one, but everything else in the desert I think is insane. So I'm a huge fan.
I mean, that's exactly what I expected. I expected like a 50% segment on Toa and then just like cram everything else in. That's what I expected because I put on mine against Desert. Toa is the only good thing. That's all I put. Because two things that you said there, and I'm not sure if this is confirmed out there, whether I've missed something. Is Leviathan and Guardians of the Rift going to be behind a desert unlock this year? Because traditionally that was a Misthalin one, wasn't it?
Wait, I thought those were desert unlocks.
Well, I think it was both.
I think it's like, the desert unlocks
yeah,
it, but you access it
I-
through Misthalin. Right.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Well,
I think it's yeah.
Got
yeah,
you.
okay. So
That makes sense.
that's a fair assumption, but I feel like otherwise it's like, what do they do with the Leviathan?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like I feel like
Oh,
they can
they
add
get
like
rid
a
of it.
teleport there, you know what I mean? But it would feel like if they took away the Leviathan from the desert, yeah, that would kind of suck for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think Leviathan is something that like with mage and range is much easier to do compared to like Varlamore, which has Vardorvis, which is mostly a melee boss, So I just feel like Leviathan's a fantastic, really, really fun boss. I've always enjoyed it in leagues, and but you guys are right that like if they do something funky with that, then that changes things up a lot for me.
I mean, I mentioned it in a previous video. I really hope they give it to the desert because, in my honest opinion, the desert needs it. The desert really needs it, man. I feel like it's fair to put the desert high, but I feel like it's also hard to argue that across the desert, it literally lives up to its name. There's nothing there across like half of it. You know, man, I find it hard to even pick out like two things I like outside of Toa. No, I'm struggling. I honestly could not go into it. I mean, Mage Training Arena was a pain in the ass, and I think the biggest thing for people considering picking Desert is that there were, I want to say, 1,250 league points just locked behind Mage Training Arena last year. It might be a bit less than that, but I think it was in that region. And that's maybe like an 8-hour grind, which doesn't seem like lots in leagues, but that's doing it, I don't know, pretty efficiently. And it feels bad, man, going out of your way to have to do something like that. I will say the other little mini games in the desert are good, like Sorceress's Garden and Temporos. The Sandstone Mine, I guess, is pretty nice to have for crafting. Outside of that, what else have we got? The Pyramid. Can you make an argument that that's useful at all? Maybe if there's no GP generating relic. And otherwise, am I missing something? That's it. That's all the desert has.
Yeah, it sounds pretty lit. I don't know what to say. That's pretty good stuff. What do you mean? This guy tells me you can't find two good things, about to rant about Morytania for an hour. Oh my god. Okay. I don't know. I
could go.
All right. I don't know. I feel like everything you mentioned is like pretty damn good for a region. Like that's pretty. I don't know. I see that's pretty stacked. I do agree though that Mage Training Arena is pretty bad, and like they should. I don't know. Just
pull
do
points
something
out of it, man. Just half the
Okay.
points. Like
Yeah.
let people get their infinity set, give them the points, and then just don't make them do any more.
You know what? I don't mind Mage Training Arena. All right, I'm going to say it. Some of the rooms aren't fun. I get it. But I don't know, like going through the grind to get Infinity. I've always thought Infinity robes were really cool. I like the look of them. I'm like, it was not a problem for me when I picked up Desert. But kind of to what you're talking about, I mean, like, TOA is probably the best raid. Probably. And this is as someone who put Desert as number 4. But, like, I can recognize as the raid, both from, like, within leagues, the purple mechanic, I think, works really well for TOA. And as a raid, like, you can get a big group together. It's, you put whatever, like, fancy restrictions you want in there in the run, you send it, you get a purple every single time. And I think most of that raid is done really well. But yeah, my big problem is like, well, and then what? Like you're gonna go mine
Yeah.
sandstone for crafting? Are you kidding? No, don't do that. We've got Alder and Gem Shop, okay? Like you don't need to do this to yourself, all right?
I think
It's very true. It's very
for
true.
me, like the mega rare voucher really goes a long way because now, instead of getting like a shadow, you get the voucher, right? So, um, I think for me, having one raid region is really, really important. But that also kind of pushes the other raid regions a little bit lower because you don't really need two raids to get all three mega rares. So I don't know. I feel like that's also a big thing. Is like because it's my favorite raid, and because I think it's the best raid in leagues. I think it kind of like it kind of like elevates it. I think above the others. I will say though,
Yeah.
Mage Training Arena, man, like I remember Leagues 4, I like hyped it up. I was like, all right, guys. I was like streaming and I'm like, we're gonna do this all in one sitting. I'm ready to grind it out. I did 15 minutes of Alcrim. I was like, I'm going to bed. I turned off the stream. I was like, we're doing this tomorrow.
I see that. I know that. I have
Yeah.
sometimes totally felt the same. You go in, maybe to be fair, Alckroom is the one that I feel like I can smash out, and then I get to the graveyard room, and that's where I give up. I get to graveyard and I'm like, I'm just not cut out for this shit, man. I can't do this. But yeah, no. Other than that, I do think the desert, jokes aside, does have some good things going for it. You can't forget that the desert extends all the way up to the gates leading to the Varrock South mine. So, you've got the Alcarid mine, you've got the Alcarid Palace. Not that there's anything there, but you've got all these little shops around there, which are actually quite good. So I will say, jokes aside, the desert is a decent region. I do feel like it's lacking though, because you've got Cowfight Queen Toa PVM, and this is a totally personal opinion, but I tend to gravitate towards those regions where there are more PVM things to do, and the desert just, unless everyone in the clan or people in friends lists are picking Toa to do group raids, it's not somewhere I would choose to go, because Toa is ultimately, as you've said, probably the most fun group raid. Especially because you can go up to like 8 people, so it's not as limiting as Tob. I do love that about the desert, but yeah, I can see why you've ranked it high. Number 1 though, Devil? Come on, man.
It's okay. No way though. You guys think Asgarnia is better than the desert? Can we just talk about that though? Like, come on, that's crazy.
They're close. They're close. They're like,
Yeah. It's part of this is you're gonna pick one raid, right? I'm probably not gonna pick desert because I don't like a lot of
I'm
the
gonna
desert
pick
content.
3.
Don't you? You're crazy. I'm like, am I gonna pick desert for the raid? Am I gonna eat the rest of what's there for the raid? No, it just doesn't happen. Every time I look at it, I'm like, it is good, but like I'm not picking it just for the raid. I can't do that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Last thing I'll say about the desert is it's going to be really, really funny to see the gate back to Lumbridge. I'm so curious what they do with that because, like, I remember, the first thing you do as a noob is you're stuck at that gate, and I want to go the other way. I want to be stuck at Alcarid. I can't go back.
Yeah, I wonder if you'll be able to see it like on fire, like
Yeah,
from the
that'll be cool.
Asgarnia angle looking into Draenor, or like the desert angle looking into Varrock or Lumbridge. Like, is it just going to be on fire? Are you going to see Yama flying by? I mean, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
They'd probably give desert some points. I'd give you that one. That'd be fun.
I'll speedrun first desert unlock so I can see what's behind the gate.
Or maybe you're just like staring into the Lumbridge cowpen and Brutus is there just staring back at you, and you just, tears rolling down your face.
All right. That's all I have
Moving
to say
on.
about the desert. Should we go to Yew Jack, your number 1? Which I guess
Me, it's Kourend. Yeah.
All right.
Kourend, Zeah. I'll say I have been Zeah locked for the last year and a half, 2 years now. So maybe there's some bias there. I still think it's a really, really powerful region, and Yama lives there. I'm gonna set that aside for a moment, but just keep that in mind. Yama's been added, unless we have some other way to access him. He's in Kourend, and I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. But here, we'll put that aside. Let's not worry about Yama. Let's look at the other stuff. It has the worst raid. I'm getting that out of the way right now. Unless they change the purple drop mechanics, it bugs me to no end that you cannot guarantee a purple out of chambers. And I know the amount of people who have been trying to grind that in past leagues for a mega rare voucher, and then they just don't pull it. And it's really annoying. I get it. I'm not going to defend that raid. Like I said, I think if you want to go for the raid, you're picking one of the other two regions, if that's like your sole reason behind it. But if you look at everything else, Kourend has a lot of other stuff going for it. A lot of the skilling stuff is there. So you got things like Wintertide, you get redwoods, you get anglerfish. So you got all these like high level skilling activities, all this really fast stuff. It does have an early rune crafting solve if we don't get that through the Arceus library. So you can still find the books. Like they removed the need for favor out of there. So you're not having to do like this weird, like pre-using the area grind that's just kind of annoying, takes a couple hours. It's gone. You just go do whatever you want. And so, yeah, roll up to the library, pick up a couple of books, get 20 rune crafting, go back to Moons, get your armor. Assuming they don't solve that for us elsewhere, I really like that as a path. And it's also got the farming guild there, so you're getting a lot of really powerful like farming options. You get tithe as well. It's the only non-time gated way to train farming outside of something like bagged plants. And I mean, yeah, you can use bagged plants, but otherwise you're relying heavily on a farming relic. And maybe you don't want to take a farming relic, you know? It's really the only region that you get that benefit. Otherwise, you're like going between your couple of tree patches and just waiting it out for the whole extent of the league, which I don't enjoy. I don't do farm runs on my normal account, let alone even though it's like 5 times faster in leagues or whatever. I'm still not doing it. I don't want to stop whatever I'm doing. And then you also have Catacombs of Kourend. Like, we're not even done. There's still more content. Like, it's such a huge continent. Now, all of these different Slayer creatures that you can now burst as well. So Slayer is really fast. They're all like the elevated versions of them. You get all of the Slayer drops associated to it. I don't know if we're going to have access to Abyssal Demons in a lot of regions now. That used to be something associated to like Mistlin. But if we don't have access to Mistlin, we can't use like maybe the Fairy Ring to Sire or something like that. And do you want to do Sire anyway? Yeah, maybe not. So like you start filling in a lot of space for what's available here. And then we also have Yama, and he's a new boss. And not only is he a new boss with like really great melee stuff, don't worry about the Soul Flame Horn. You don't need it. You know? He has contracts. And if we get to use contracts in leagues, that's going to be really cool too, because now you got all these powers. Now you can just try and send those contracts. They look impossible in the main game. But now you can like revive yourself if you hit 0 HP. Yeah, because you got that cool relic, or you got that combat mastery, or whatever it works out to. And like I really think that almost by itself is what's elevated it for me, is because Yama lives there. I look at the raid and I'm like, if I had to do chambers one more time, nah. Put it below Kandarin, I'm done with it. Unless they fix it. If they fix it, I'm fine. Chambers were cool. But, you know, it's like Yama. Like, okay, Yama is like the big thing. You get to try all of those contracts, do the really big PVM stuff. We'll see what they do with the Echo. I haven't really mentioned it, but like Echo Hesperia last year, at least it was a different weapon. I like salamanders. It wasn't like cool best in slot, but you get to it pretty early. So it was like a fun weapon to have. I kind of hope that they do something different, though. I don't really want to see Echo Hesperia again, and I don't really want to see the Salamander either. So I'm also holding a little bit of hope that maybe they'll change it. Maybe they do an Echo Yama. You've got like the super contract, right? He's so elevated. It's like the combination of all the contracts. You have your league's powers. Good luck. Give you that big challenge.
That would be horrible, by the way. As someone who has done the Yama contracts, putting them all together, God, I think the rest of my hair would fall out, man. That would be horrible. Jesus, can I just say, what a speech. I think you just sold that to anyone who wasn't thinking of picking Kourend. It is a fantastic region, and I've got nothing bad to say about Kourend. I ranked it number 2 because it has everything. You know, literally everything. Good skilling, early PVM. You know, no one's going to write home to say Sarachnis is their favorite boss. Actually, there is one. There is one guy who comments on most of my videos who says, "Can I have a Sarachnis video?" And I don't think it's ever going to happen, but there are people that like that boss. You know, maybe we'll get Echo Sarachnis this year. But yeah, you've got Sarachnis, you've got Hespori. You got the shamans, you've got Wintertard, you've got the guilds, you've got a raid, and for all we know, this hasn't been confirmed yet. If I had to make an argument about where Vardorvis was based, I would actually say that's more on the Kourend side, personally speaking. And I think given the expansions we've had into Varlamore this year, I actually think giving Vardorvis on the top of Doom, on top of Soul, on top of Huey, Moxie, Gemstone Crab, I think that's a little greedy. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them move Vardorvis into Zeah. Into Kourend. So, yeah, I think Kourend is a fantastic region. It may have even more going for it this year. What you said about Chambers, everyone was complaining about, because I did a couple raids with, just inviting anyone on stream in to do a raid, and we'd scale it up, and, fingers crossed, we'd just pull a shit ton of purples. But it caps out at what, like 6 purples, I want to say. And it doesn't even seem fairly attributed to people with the higher points. So it almost feels totally random. So yeah, that was quite tricky. I really hope they fix that next year. Well, this year, sorry. But yeah, Zeah, fantastic region. I want to see what Double has to say about it.
I mean, okay, so I will say I have Zeah as my number 2. I think it's really good. Okay. And I also will say that a lot of my opinion on it kind of depends on what they do with Vardorvis and also what they do with Yama. I think Yama's like a really cool boss. Really, really fun. There's like a part of me though that's like, if we have a Yama themed leagues and you need a region to fight Yama, like it like makes sense, but it also like feels a little wrong for me, you know? Like that's why originally I thought that would just be the starting area. I mean, like Zeah is so big, I feel like they could maybe cut like, 5 years of updates and it would still be enough to run a whole leagues on it, something crazy like that. So, obviously it's got a lot of content. It's really really packed, and for me the thing is though is I feel like the highs don't quite reach the highs of some of the other regions. Like we talked about, Chambers is abysmal, man. I tried a melee build in Chambers, and it's like you can't reach the hand. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm never doing Chambers on this account. Let's move on to the next character. So I literally did like half of a Chambers, and I did not touch that raid ever again. Sarachnis, cool. You get a bigger herb sack now. That's awesome. Um, good luck getting rooted in place because you don't have Morytania, which you probably might have wanted to choose that one instead. So I think it's got a lot of good skilling stuff, but I just feel like Chambers is it's such a stinker for me. Like it really takes it down a lot, and I don't really like doing it too much. I think if you do enjoy it and stuff, like I've kind of grown to love it because it's so like wacky, and if you have like a trio to do it with, it can be really fun, and like you feel that like I am the melee carry of this group. I am the range carry. It can be really fun, but it's like it's a little too situational for me for that. And I just feel like it didn't quite reach number 1 for me. But it does, like, again, it's really really strong. It's really really cool. I think yeah, the purple situation too, with like how many uh dexterous and arcane scrolls you're getting and stuff like that can just kind of feel pretty bad at times. And I just feel like the other raids are a bit more fun in that. Also, like, yeah, you can't get like multiple purples and stuff like that, so that can kind of suck, right? You're like capped out. I hope they change that. I don't know if they could like do something about that, but that would solve a lot, because 50-man chambers, now that is some fun stuff right there.
Yeah, until someone spreads all the like fire around and everyone just loses all their stats.
That's the
and,
best part.
you
got like
forgot to bring
100
the
deaths.
stores, and yeah, it's just crazy. So yeah, I hope they change that, but I do agree it's going to be hard to do that without people starting to abuse it early, if you know what I mean. Like imagine the scenario that someone makes a new league's account, picks Kourend first, you go in a mega scale and you got a T-bow. So
I mean,
yeah, it's
That's
interesting.
that's how they were doing the Gridmaster speedruns, actually. They would actually do that to basically get carried through it. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe this is like an unpopular opinion. I don't even think it's a problem. Like I don't understand why they've limited the purples in the first place there. Because for a game mode like Leagues or Gridmaster, right? I like people are all Ironmen, so there's not like an economic thing that you're worried about. So then I mean, why not just let people have the fun of it, right? Not everybody's going to go jump into like some mass raid and get 0 points and then like pull a Tebow. Yeah, you'll probably have some people do that, but is it really that much of a big deal? If they wanted to skip all the content and just go to a Tebow, maybe just let them, you know?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't think it matters massively. I think it just, in a way, I can see it. This sounds stupid, but I can see it cutting down the amount of hours people actually enjoy playing the league for. If you jump into a massive 100-man, massively scaled chambers and everyone gets a purple, I think it almost devalues part of enjoying it and doing it yourself or in a smaller team. So I kind of get that there would have to be a cap, but I think they just need to raise it somewhat. And I don't know what the answer to that is. We'll leave that to a JMod. Is that everything on Kourend? Because I want to sell you guys on my number one next.
Yeah, I mean,
I do. Hold on. Can I make just
go for it.
one more quick defense of the raid? I gotta get it out there. One thing that I also consider when I'm looking at these raid regions, if I ever feel like I don't want to do a raid that much, Chambers is very forgiving in the fact that it has a lot of different purples. So while I don't think it's great to farm it, I think it's a really easy raid to just kind of send a few into, get a couple of those low-hanging fruits for points, and then you can be done with it. And something that I did last league, I did pick 2 raid regions, and I did exactly that with Kourend. I enjoyed all of the other content. I ran like a handful of raids and chambers, and then dipped out and went to Morytania. I'll go get my purple there. Yeah, my mega rare.
Yeah. Yeah, you totally can. I mean, you guys have both made it clear you hate chambers. I actually personally love it, and I could grind it for hours on end. But I do agree, maybe because it's old, just feels a bit janky compared to the other two.
Yeah, I feel like I liked it more as like a tribrid style. So maybe if that's like more of a push, like in future leagues and stuff, like in Deadman, for example, where you're strong in all 3 regions, or like in Gridmaster, where you were just strong in everything. I like that a bit more because it's fun, but there's like some parts, like especially on Ulm, where I just feel like I am just sitting there for like 5 minutes doing like no damage at all. Or I'm just doing it with the regular style, at which point I start to feel like, why am I not just doing this in the main game if I'm doing this with the main game DPS? Like, I don't know, it just I start to feel like that, like, existential crisis of like, what am I doing here? Yeah, but it's still top 2 for me. So I do have a worse
same.
raid region that I guess some people might disagree with. Huh, Scritic?
So where did you rank Morytania?
It's in my top 3.
Oh, so it is in your top 3.
Yeah, it's in my top 3.
And where did you rank it, Yew Jack?
Number 2.
Okay, so it's not like we're all going crazy here and putting Morytania lower than 3.
Yeah,
it's just that one of us is right and putting it at the top. That's all.
Yeah, nothing crazy like Desert at number 5, right? That would be, I mean,
it was 4. Okay, it's still top 4. It made it. Yeah.
Okay. Morytania. Yeah, Morytania. We're talking about.
Let's talk about it.
I was waiting for the sell.
Oh well, I mean, listen. All I've wrote down here is Morytania good. So.
Oh well, we're done. All right.
No. Okay. Right. Hear me out. And I don't think I have to do a great job at selling this because Morytania it's the PVM region. It is the PVM region. Besides Varlamore now. So would I pick Morytania first? No. I think it is a pretty terrible starting region. You're going to have a hard time leveling all your skills quite comfortably there at first without having to do a few little quests to gain access to certain areas or travel around the region. So it doesn't have that going for it off the bat. But what it does have going for it is some incredible, in my opinion, some of the best PVN content in the game. Not Barrows, but I have to mention it. Barrows is incredibly accessible early these days. You could turn up on day 1 in monk's robes with an air staff, exploit elemental weakness, and honestly, be in a full set of Barrows by the end of day 1. It is totally doable. You could do that. And that would set you up for the rest of the league potentially. But the real stuff to sink your teeth into, I think, is, you've got the whole Slayer Tower there. We had Echo Grotesque Guardians last year, which actually made a boss that I would probably rank bottom 3 all time in the main game. Somehow one of the most fun encounters that I've had. Echo GGs were so good. Now the Echo item itself, kind of lackluster, to be honest. Didn't quite work. How I even sold it to work in the Echo boss video I did for the old school channel. So I don't know how I dropped that. But if it had worked how we intended it to, doubling every set effect and the Amulet of the Dam set effect, Barrows would have been a hell of a lot more fun. It was still great, but anyway. The big pieces of content. Obviously, Tob, I have to mention it. For me, it was not quite as fun as Toa, because I think, as Double said, in Toa, someone gets nuked by Kefri and everyone just laughs. In Tob, someone fucks up at Nilo's and a pillar drops and everyone just loses their shit. It's a totally different experience. But Tob is great. Do love Tob. Feels like the best raid, of course, for obvious reasons, to flex a melee build, which I particularly enjoy more than the other styles. Obviously, Nightmare, Araxor. I'm just going to list them off. Nightmare, Araxor, and I think it does actually have, some decent skill and things going for it. I'm not going to put Sepulchre in that list because I goddamn hate that piece of content. But I'm sure there's someone out there that's like going, can't wait to run me some Sepulchre, baby. That's you?
I like Sepulchre.
That's
every
crazy.
year, because I don't do like Sepulchre ever outside of like leagues. So every year it's like I go into Sepulchre, I'm like, man, I suck at this. And then I slowly get better and better, and I finally get like the record time. And then I'm like, all right, I'm the
Never again.
sickest. And then the next seasonal mode, I start from like square one again, and I'm like working my way up. And so I feel really good at the end when I hit that time. And I just go back to like just sucking every single time I go back there. So maybe one day.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Can I pull you away on a tangent real quick for Sepulchre? Because I know exactly where this came from for me. I used to hate it. And then one dead man mode, I was like, you know what? I want to rush in a low bracket to the Morytania area. I want to get access to Darkmire. And so I did that so I wouldn't have to deal with PKers. And I tried going for blood shards to like farm out for money, because I was like, hey, I could like swap this out. It'd be cool. No one cared about blood shards. So like they didn't sell very well and I had to go do something. So I ended up spending a lot of time in Sepulchre. I got so good at it that in Gridmaster, I think I was running this and I ran into some people and they're like, I don't understand how to do this. I'm literally just like running the obstacles backwards. I'm like, listen, hold on, let me come back to you. And I'm like dodging all this stuff. I'm like, okay, here, I'm going to walk you through this. You just follow me. We'll do this together. So fun.
Like, I got a tour
Hate
guide.
agility
What
otherwise.
the heck?
Yeah.
Like, I was so bad at Sepulchre that everyone in my stream on Gridmaster was just, I think they were just egging me on to do it because it was just torture for me. Like I even invented, and I don't even think I can say I invented this tech, but I call it the one step at a time method, where on that final floor 5, I was so overstimulated from the goddamn Sepulchre agility plugin that I was like, I can't see what's going on. I just have to click one tile in front of me. Stop. What's going on? One tile. Honestly, hated it. But it's going to come around again. It's one of the many skilling things. And the only other thing I wanted to mention about Morytania, because I'm sure there's lots I could keep going on about, but it's just a shame that, originally when I saw the roadmap last year, the Blood Moon Rises quest was meant to be, first thing this year. And so there's a chance we could have had it for leagues, but obviously we won't now. That's going to be much later this year. And how sick of an addition to Morytania would that have been? And how much more would that have pushed it to most people's S tier? I think the answer to that probably is a lot. It's a shame, but I'm excited to see what it looks like next time as well. Either way, Morytania, very strong region, particularly if you like PVM. I think it's just got a lot going for it. That's
yeah,
what
I think if Blood Moon Rises was in there, I would say Morytania is like by far, like it's almost to a point where after you mentioned that, I was like, I think they have to like like retro, like they gotta nerf it somehow because it's like way too good when they add that.
Yeah.
It actually adds like a pretty interesting thing though, which is that like that would add like the new ranged amulet and stuff. And while I agree with you that Morytania is super sick for melee, it's not really the best for ranged and magic. Like I feel like that's always been kind of a weaker area. The bosses aren't great to do with ranged and magic. Um, man, I remember hard mode theater looking for freezer, looking for freezer. We need a freezer, and it's just like you you don't need one, but you don't really want to do one without. And then like that, if they could give, I think, more reason for range and magic to be in that region, then I think it would be like, yeah, it'd be so broken. Which I mean, with like, I don't want to get into a whole segment about the content that's coming out later this year, but that's definitely gonna push this region to just insane levels.
Mhm.
I still put it at number 2. So I don't hate Morytania. I've taken it in a lot of leagues. It is definitely like the Slayer region, I think, just because you get access to the Black Mass, so that's always like top of mind. One thing that always holds it back for me though is having to deal with barrows. I so wish that they would include a similar mechanic, like do protection like what we have at Moons for barrows, even if it's just for leagues. Because one of the biggest sells for me in the last one was wanting to try out those different barrow sets. 'Cause I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool. Yeah, you get like kind of an amped up effect for it. And then you go and you do 1,000 barrows runs in a temporary game mode. And I still don't have like full barracks. I'm like, I want to go try this set effect. Like, please. And I wasn't even like the worst offender. Like there were people in my clan chat going for like 1,500, 2,000 KC, and they just want to get their Darox. Like they just want to try it, you know. And I think that has hurt a lot of people, regardless of how you feel about the raid. So many people, it's just they got burned from barrows. They don't want to do it again, and it's a shame because I feel like it's not that big of a part of the region, but you definitely are going to have to stop there. And especially if they make the echo item like around that, then you feel like you almost have to, you know?
Yeah, I think I
It's a
went
bit of a bummer.
55 barrows before getting my first item, and it's like a 1 in 5 or something like that. And I'm or like one, it was like a 1 in 3 or something, and I went like 55 dry. I started thinking that like
Yep.
maybe like recall was bugged or something. Like we started, I went like full conspiracy mode in there because I was losing my mind. And then yeah, as you mentioned, the Darox, like it's so cool. But again, if you're stuck like 1,000, you're doing like one brother runs trying to get that last piece. Like that is some mind numbing content. The other set that I did want to talk about is Guthans. I think the the life steal of Morytania is really fun, and like Guthans has always been cool. Blood Fear is really cool. A life steal just scales really well with the more damage you do, and man, doing like AFK fight caves is like you just like auto retaliate, sit in the middle of fight caves, and then you go eat some lunch, and you just come back, and it's actually really cool. So that's a really cool perk of the region.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. Honestly, you could get into all of like the little detail, and I could, we could even bring up the graphic of all the little items and features of the region. Mauritania does feel like it's got just like quite a lot, but ultimately it depends on your playstyle because I think, as you said there, if you're going down a range focus build, there's almost nothing you benefit from in Mauritania. If you're going down a mage build and maybe you want to do elemental weakness, then there's an argument for the nightmare stuff. But still, is it as good as some of the other options out there, or will it be based on what's new to League 6? I don't know. But I think if you're getting melee, I'm sorry to sell this to you people out there who are going to be picking melee. Pick Mauritania, man. Like, join me and pick Mauritania. I'm already locked in. I think I'll be doing a melee build pending the whatever the masteries are. But Mori is the region for that.
Yeah, I think it's always been like just since like literally leagues too. It's just been like the goat melee region, and
Yeah.
it's probably got the most amount of content. Honestly, I forgot about Araxor, but like Noctis Halberd's really cool too, and that actually solves a lot of the other problems of things like Zulra and whatnot of having that halberd. So, yeah, really cool region. It probably should have been 2 for me because I'm like, man, Zeah sucks compared to Mauritania. I'm kind of
I'm
sold
saying.
now.
I'm saying.
I forgot. Yeah, they reworked the halberds as well, so it works on more stuff too.
Yeah, you can do Armadillo now with a halberd.
That is a cool perk. I mean, I won't be taking Tirannwn because it's like down in the dirt, but Zora with that would be kind of fun.
I guess like just like the only I mean again we talk about barrows and stuff like that. One of the other like kind of negatives that I did have with Morytania just is the I think Grotesque Guardians, the Echo version is really cool. I think the regular version though kind of sucks when I first started I felt like I got like very like stat checked where I was like, man, I am like so weak doing this at the start. And like you got to melee the guy, but then you got to range the flying guy, and it's like I don't have damage in my main style yet, and so that was like a big downside for me. I ended up saving that one for the end, and then at that point, the Echo Grotesque Guardian just felt like a complete breeze. So, um, yeah, a bit of a that was a bit of a stinker for me.
It took what, like 50 kills, I think, to guarantee the Echo Orb, something like that. So you did have to grind it out quite a bit for an item that really, like, it went with Barrows. Like that was the best thing you were gonna get with it, and you're at Barrows like so early. So I almost wonder if they changed it where you got access to the Echo after like one kill. Do you think that would have made it better for you?
I think that would help a lot, especially for those like, especially the bosses that I think are just so much better than their normal counterpart. I mean, I've like hyped up Echo Calphite Queen. I think that's one of my favorite fights. Doing the regular Calphite Queen also just sucks to do, you know? So if you could skip that, like that would help the desert. It would definitely help the Guardians and stuff. But I don't know. It's just I'm excited to see that because they could also change the Echo bosses, but I think that like one of the cool parts about Echo bosses is getting rid of the, you know, the requirement to farm these like really monotonous and, you know, lots of like prep or intermission kind of style bosses where you're just kind of doing nothing. So but that's pretty much it I have to say on Morytania. Do we have any final thoughts, or should we just try to come up with the final overall tier list based off what we have said?
For sure. Final tier list.
Okay.
No, we're
I'm
gonna be in fist
curious.
fights at the end of this.
So unfortunately, at this point, Scritic's power actually went out, so we weren't actually able to have a full conversation going over sort of a combined tier list and talk about those. However, you know, in our chat, we did kind of go through and just sort of rank them based off where they ended up on our lists, and we did come up with a combined list shown right here. At the bottom, Kandarin, and then Fremennik, Wildy, Asgarnia, and Tirannwn actually tied for fourth. In third place, the Desert. Second place, Morytania, and first in Zeah. But overall, I had a really fun conversation. Make sure to support Yew Jack and Scritic as well. And you know, if you agree with us, maybe you disagree with us, so let us know below. We always love reading the comments. You know, having a little bit of that conversation, and make sure you guys are you know ready for more leagues content coming very soon.